to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
Cleveland! Welcome back into the office, At the Office, the show where we talk all things Cleveland sports. I'm your host, Noah, joined with my co-host, Matt. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. Had a wonderful dinner a little bit ago. Now I'm sitting down talking to one of my best buddies about sports. How could I be bad?
I feel it, man. I feel it. You can join us too here at the office. Send us a message. Send us a comment on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitter, if you still call it that. Text or call the show. You can see it above right here, 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Matt, we got a lot to talk about today. And yes, we're going to go on another Browns tangent because we didn't get to wrap up everything we wanted to talk about in the last episode because it got a little feisty. So make sure you go check that episode out after you watch this one, or listen to this one if you're listening to the podcast-only version of the show. The Cavs are on pace to win 70-plus games. Do they do it? They did lose last night. They're on pace to win exactly 71 right now with the math that ChatGPT gave me prior to the show's filming. Matt, gonna do something different with you. This is something I'm used to. You're not used to it. We're gonna do some 30-second takes here on the Monday show of At the Office. Are you ready to go, man?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Timer on. Go.
So, I absolutely think they can do it. You go back and you look at, you could cherry pick a handful of different games. I don't have the stats here in front of me because Noah kind of threw this at me, but we've won a lot of games where our star players didn't show up and everybody else steps up around them, be it Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. All of them have had off games. They've stepped up to win. They've shown we can win as a team, play as a team. There's no reason we can't.
Yeah, I get you. I'm going to just let my clock go now. I think this team has the ability to do it. I'm not going to be disappointed, though, if they don't do it. They can have up and down nights. We saw it last night on Sunday. Hey, this is still an NBA team at the end of the day. No one's ever going to go 82-0. Hell, it's very rare to see someone go above 70 wins. We've only seen it twice in the last, 40, 50 years, however long it's been. There's a chance here, but if it doesn't happen, I won't be upset. Matt, I want to talk to you, though. Does the game last night bother you a little bit with the chance for this team to go, or does one loss after a 12-game 11-game win streak not really scare you?
You kind of just said it right on the head. The streak's got to end at some point. And then there's 82 games. We're talking about winning 70 of them. That's 12 games you're allowed to lose, however you want to phrase it. And then you look directly at that game. And it's just one of those games where the opponent, the Pacers, everything's falling for them. Everything's going right. They're having the ideal night. We're not having a good night. It's bound to happen. It doesn't concern me. Like you said, it's the NBA. You're going to lose some games.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that fact. It was kind of frustrating to watch them lose a game and just be outscored. It reminds me of that Boston Celtics game. I don't know if you said that or not, but it reminds me of the Boston Celtics loss when they lost their streak initially. We just weren't on compared to a team that was making every shot they threw up at the hoops. So to me, it doesn't bother me. I think they're going to go right back on track. Really excited for Thursday. We got Cavs Thunder Part 2 on national TV again on TNT. Very excited for that game. Before we move on to the Cleveland Browns and everything else, I got two things to say. First of all, shout out Darius Garland, Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Well-deserved 40-point game with Donovan Mitchell being out the night after the Thunder game. Also had a great game during the Thunder game, so why not? Give that man the credit he deserves. Number two, we have a giveaway. We are giving away a Donovan Mitchell jersey. All you got to do is follow us on X, YouTube, and Instagram. The winner will be picked February 3rd. Winner must be following on all three platforms. Make sure you go check that out. It's an easy way to win some free Cavs swag. Matt, we've been trying to talk stadium stuff for a minute here, and news keeps breaking. So before we get to finally talk about the stadium, Deshaun Watson re-tears his Achilles tendon. Go ahead, tell the people what the Browns posted for those who have not read this message yet.
So the update the Cleveland Browns social media put out reads, yesterday Deshaun Watson underwent a second surgery to repair his right Achilles tendon rupture. He initially tore the tendon during the Browns Week 7 game. This is a whole bunch of stuff I don't necessarily need to read. The important parts are MRI results demonstrate a re-rupture. Dr. Bob Anderson, a specialist in North Carolina, performed this first surgery as well as the second, and he's likely to miss significant time during the 2025 season.
And I know you were brushing over some of that because it's just rehashing when the injury happened and all of that. But I think something important here that we'll get into here in a second is he complained of discomfort after rolling his ankle in Miami, which sent Twitter into a frenzy. But Matt, I want to know what you thought when you saw this news first.
I mean, first initial reaction was, we're going to find a way out now. There's almost, there's a lot of different doors that opened up here in finding a way out of his contract. And that's just kind of where my mind started to go off the bat is, I've been struggling with finding how to word this because obviously it sucks for the human being. He's a person at the end of the day, and it sucks to see him deal a significant injury to himself.
Right.
I'm not rooting for that. Obviously, I want him to pull through to be okay. But talking from a football team standpoint, it could potentially be a good thing for the future of the franchise. And that's kind of where my mind went. And I'm actually kind of interested to see what did you think when you first heard the news?
Yeah, so I alluded to a little bit of this during our last episode when we were talking about the quarterback situation where the Browns are going to move forward. The Browns took out an insurance policy on Deshaun Watson's contract. So basically they get $44 million or something in the $40 million range of cap relief if Deshaun Watson doesn't play in the 2025 season for the 2026 season, which would make his salary cap, if we cut him, his damage is less damageable and we can finally wipe our hands scot clean. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, well, it's a 9 to 12 month recovery. He tore it twice now, so they're going to go really slow. He's out for the year. They're going to put him on the PUP list. He's going to not be able to perform for the whole year. They're at least going to get the insurance policy, cut him in 2026. He's effectively not going to be on the roster in 2025, but we're just putting him on the PUP list and letting him ride in the background. His NFL career is over, in my opinion. That was something else I thought, because there ain't no way someone's taking his baggage mixed with all of the injuries that he sustained up into this point. We've seen what an Achilles tendon rupture can do to aging quarterbacks. He's about to be 30. Shout out Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. I don't know if that's shout out worthy, but they've had some issues with their Achilles tendons, tearing them and then coming back and performing to the highest level, right? All of this being said, a lot of the ex-detectives wanted to continue to go a little bit further. First, I'm going to read this tweet about how a contract void would work. One of the more interesting tidbits on the Browns potentially getting out of the rest of Deshaun Watson's contract. This is from Nick Wilson Says. It's a post. Even if the Browns can't prove that Watson was engaging in activities that triggered a void of his guarantees, recent images on social media showed him without a walking boot. Given the difficulty of rolling an ankle while in a walking boot, I can attest to that. I have been in a walking boot before, broke my ankles, was non-weight bearing for 3 months. And you can't really roll your ankle in that thing. It's possible he wasn't wearing a boot when he was supposed to be wearing a boot. If the team specified rehab protocol requires him to wear a boot, that could give the Browns another avenue for voiding all of the guaranteed money. Matt, what did you think when that kind of stuff started floating around? That video of him dancing with his girlfriend behind his bougie Lamborghini truck or whatever the hell he was next to. What were your thoughts?
So my first two kind of thoughts there, reading that specific tweet you just read, is I feel like we're too far out from the second injury for it to be something along those lines where the team has that easy out of, oh, he wasn't doing that. It would have happened by now, I would have to imagine. I could see it taking longer, but I definitely think we would know by now that, that's in the works. And the second thing is more directly about that video you brought up a second ago of him with his girlfriend and the images that were brought up in that tweet. I mean, it takes a 2-second Google search to find out that all of that is from a year and a half ago, if not longer. And it just kind of bothers me. Like, I've been on this channel as one of the biggest Deshaun Watson haters on the planet. And I'll still take that. As a football player, I don't want him on my team. But the fact that people are willing to just go so far to dig at one man that's clearly already down, it's kind of ridiculous. And I get, the questionable past and not wanting to support him, but it doesn't mean you need to kick him in the rib cage while he's dealing with life-altering injuries.
See, it's funny to me that I feel like we're flipping the script here. And I'm not saying I disagree with you because I agree with everything you're saying. It's just for you to say that after all of the hatred spewed towards Deshaun Watson, the player and the individual, both ways. It's just funny to me. And that's fine. My thing here is, yes, I think everybody pointing at the video with him and his girlfriend is hilarious because if you do any internet sleuthing other than, oh my God, he posted this video, you can find out that it was an old video, like you said, right? The thing that sticks out to me a little bit here and makes me scratch my head is the fact that he's supposed to be in a walking boot. Now, I'm not saying it's completely impossible to roll your ankle in a walking boot, but it's pretty damn hard. Like I said when I was reading the tweet, I've been in one before for literal lower leg extremity injuries. It's insane for me to even think about how I could roll an ankle in that. So was he doing something without his boot on when he was supposed to have his boot on, and now he's re-torn an Achilles tendon? And that there's some validity there. Do I think anything will happen though? No, because the NFLPA is ruthless, and I don't think anybody wants to deal with the back and forth that could be in terms of, player rights and that kind of thing. I think they'd rather just go the insurance policy route and the route that I brought up before any of this drama. But it is interesting, like you said, how people were really reaching out there to try to figure out a way to just get rid of this guy at this point because everybody's just so far over the Deshaun Watson era in Cleveland. What else are you thinking, Matt? What else you got on your mind with this situation?
To me, the way the whole walking boot scenario reads, and I don't know if it's just the way that tweet's worded and I need to do a little more research, but it kind of reads like, and I'm not, he absolutely should medically be in a walking boot. But to me, that reads as if it kind of depends on if the team is requiring it. And to me, it almost reads like we have no proof that the team officially was like, dude, you need to be in a walking boot. It could almost just be one of those things like, yeah, he's going to wear his walking boot. He just had surgery. Like, that's just kind of where my mind was processing that as compared to he definitely was required. And,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of it. I personally don't think it will. I think the news of him re-tearing it has already been the sign of the times for this whole situation. And unfortunately, it looks good for the city, or not the city of Cleveland, but the Cleveland Browns. I'm already jumping to the next topic and we haven't even hit the commercial break yet. It looks good for the Cleveland Browns in terms of getting rid of this thing and getting off of this thing. It looks bad for Deshaun Watson, the person and the player, because that guy is going to have to learn UFL pretty quick, if you ask me. But we'll see what happens with Deshaun Watson's career. We'll see what happens as the Browns move forward. Kirk Cousins will be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. That's not me breaking news. That's me just sticking my flag in the middle of the field and saying it's going to happen because I think it's going to happen. Matt, I'm going to take us to commercial break. When we get back, we're going to go to the title topic, the city of Cleveland versus the Cleveland Browns. We're going to be talking about all of this stadium drama that's been up and down and all around the last couple weeks here in Cleveland. We'll be right back with At the Office after these commercial messages. And we are back at the office talking all things sports. It's good over here. Life's good. Brown season's over. Ohio State to the national championship. You can see our predictions on Wednesday as we wrap up our national championship prediction show. You also hear us talk a little bit about NFL wildcard on Wednesday. We got a lot of great content coming out this week for you guys, including what we're about to talk about now. Real quick, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of a show. Drop us a comment whether you're watching the live version or watching the post version. We'll get back to you down in the comment section. I love being able to interact with the people that support what we do over here at The Office. Make sure you go check out attheofficecle.com. Get you some merch. We got mugs. We got stickers. We got t-shirts on the way. Matt's got a whole slew of merch here that he needs to come fucking pick up. I am going to rail you on the live show until you come and get your things, including your new webcam. I digress on that. Lastly, shout out to the Fans First Sports Network for supporting everything we do over here. Let's get back into it, Matt. Let's talk about the city of Cleveland versus the Cleveland Browns. Matt, you were really passionate about this a couple weeks ago during our Final Thoughts and Takes segment. You know, we were talking about all the implications of the city of Cleveland fighting back, using the Art Modell law. Let's get into it. What are your thoughts, man?
It's just so embarrassing. Like I said in my 30-second hot take, it's just a bad look all around for a team that's historically been a clown car of a franchise, never been taken seriously anywhere. And for a city that kind of has not a good reputation, like it's not a bad reputation city, but people like to dog on Cleveland. And this is just loading the clip, giving them more ammo.
Listen, I'm going to respond to what you have to say because I think it's bullshit personally. I think feeding into the mindset of Cleveland is doom and gloom and all of that as a Clevelander. I know you're not a Clevelander. You're an outside Clevelander, as most of Northeast Ohio are Clevelanders. But to me, to feed into that mindset and put that type of discourse out there on a show like this, to me is not the right way to go about this. Now, I do understand and I do get why you think some of this could be frustrating because of the public resources that are being used in terms of fighting for a stadium to stay downtown when we have X, Y, and Z problems going on with downtown Cleveland. I can attest to that as a downtown Clevelander. Before we start bickering, I would like to show, just to remind the people who haven't, maybe seen the images or the renders in the raw aisle, what the images and renders look like. So first, right here, we got the Brook Park Browns. This is a earlier render of what Huntington Bank Field over in Brook Park could look like. They've updated and tweaked some things, but in terms of the architecture that they're going with, in terms of the building, this has looked the same. Does look great. Matt, what do you think it looks like? Just 5-second take real quick.
I mean, I like it. It kind of looks like it wants to be the Bass Pro Shop pyramid, but it didn't get the funding for it.
Well, that's any modern architecture when it comes to football stadiums. Here is the Destination Cleveland mocked up images of the Burke Lakefront Airport, tearing that down and putting Huntington Bank Field here. I do like this render better. What do you think?
Personally, I do like this one better just because it opens, it has, the opportunity to create a whole new economic area for the city.
I like that it's attached to the city, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into my full-blown take. What I do want to talk about is some of the drama that's going on in between the city and the Cleveland Browns. Basically, what's going on between Mayor Bibbs and Jimmy and Dee Haslam, because we are in the midst of a petty off, and I am here for the multi-millionaire, billionaire oil tycoon drama. So this is our first tweet, Matt. If you want to kind of cover this, I know you have some stuff going on. This is a zoomed out version of the letter Mayor Bibbs sent to Mr. and Mrs. Haslam on Monday, going back towards the end of 2024.
So that, like Noah just said, this is a very zoomed out letter. Pretty much this is a letter sent to the Haslams informing them that, the city's going to sue them to try to find a group ownership from Cleveland to buy the team and keep the team downtown, enact the Modell law.
Correct. So tell us a little bit more about the Modell law, some of the verbiage, the wording that they have going on in there, Matt.
So this is actually very interesting. When you talk about the Modell law, it's, as I kind of just said, a law that allows the city an opportunity to find a financial group to purchase the team and keep the stadium downtown, keep the team from moving elsewhere, is how it is worded in the actual law. Now that's interesting because that is exactly how it is worded. How does one define elsewhere? There's definitely an argument to be made. Brook Park to Cleveland, not a super far jump. Do you really call it elsewhere? Yeah, it's not downtown. It's somewhere else. Is it elsewhere? I mean, really, it's going to come down to, in my mind, how much money does Jimmy really want to throw at this little problem he has?
Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit in the last couple times I've covered this, right? So here's a fantastic example of how this could very easily go very quickly as well without all the legal battles and all of this. The Chicago Bears were going to move out from downtown where Soldier Field is and move to the suburbs. The suburbs basically charged double the price of what they were going to charge the Bears downtown. Now the Bears are now moving back downtown in a newly nice Soldier Field that isn't Soldier Field. That could very easily happen as soon as they start trying to build on this Brook Park land. It is funny to note, since we're talking about the little bit of the petty off right now, about a day later from when the city issued that letter, this came from, again, if you're watching the video version, the official Cleveland Browns Twitter account. We have executed the clause and taken the necessary steps in our land purchase agreement with the current owners to solidify our future purchase of a 176-acre site in Brook Park for a new Huntington Bank Field enclosed stadium, along with adjacent mixed-use development and some more legal mumbo jumbo. So basically, the Browns were like, yeah, that's cool. So anyway, we bought the land and you guys can all screw off. Matt, you want to talk about this being an embarrassment. Why do you think this is an embarrassment?
I think it's an embarrassment at its core. Like, stadiums move, get renovated, teams leave cities. It happens all the time. You look at the Rams leaving St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis was upset. Yeah, they didn't want him to go. But it just didn't feel like this whole big, blown up, drawn out petty off.
See, that's
like
wrong, though, said. Matt. That's wrong. Because the city of the city of St. Louis issued a lawsuit against the entire NFL and team owners and sought damages for the team leaving the city. So when you're talking about how ugly this can get, I mean, it got ugly. We're talking the whole league, not just Jimmy and D Haslam and Bear Bibbs. We're talking the city of St. Louis and all of the NFL getting sued for approving the move from St. Louis to Los Angeles for the Rams. In that exact example. Sorry, didn't mean to shut you down, but I'll drop the mic on that one.
And I'm sure you have the number right there. What year did that happen? Do you have that down there?
2017.
Okay, and it is now 2025.
Correct.
So it's been that long since the last big embarrassing blow up obviously I just had the standpoint of not embarrassing. And yes, there are events, but there's so many more events where you see, look at Washington. Washington said, hey, we want a new stadium. And boom, they have a deal to work it out. It doesn't have to be this difficult process that you look at Cleveland as a franchise and you just look back, you have embarrassing football play. We're made fun of constantly for being the worst team historically. And then you throw on more recently, we finally get to the playoffs and win a game. And we throw away our quarterback from that for a new potential superstar quarterback. Blows up in our face. And then, hey, we work around that. We get to the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks. Yeah, we don't win a game, but we're on our 5th quarter. Whatever. We look great. We have a bright future. And now we're picking second in the draft. Oh, and by the way, Noah, our city is suing the team because they can't, shake hands and play nice.
See, but here's the thing. The thing that I don't think you're grasping at here is there's a big difference between the Cleveland Browns, the business, and the Cleveland Browns, the football team. The business of the Cleveland Browns has never been bad. The season ticket prices have always gone up, even going 0-16. The viewership, trust me, I air Cleveland Browns stuff for the news station I work for in terms of actual games. The viewership has only gone up. The games have only gotten more and more viewed in terms of, the grander scope of everything that's going on in media. The business side of the Cleveland Browns and this whole thing that would lean into the fight between Mayor Bibbs and Jimmy and Dee Haslam has been fantastic. They are rolling in dough because we love them shitty orange and brown people who play up on the lake. The football team is not the same thing. That's almost two different operations in mine. So when you're talking about being the laughing stock of the league, which, yes, prior we were, I still don't think we are now. I think we had a historically bad season. I think we had a lot of the bets that we made blow up in our face, for lack of a better analogy, what have you. But in terms of this battle with the city and the Haslams, you see it everywhere. You see it right now, an example, with the Kansas City Chiefs, where Arrowhead has been long needed to get a renovation or a dome, and the Kansas City Royals. There has been fights between the city officials and everything to prevent them from moving to a new base location. And I don't know if I have where that's listed. It's just the Kansas suburbs, for example. There's been fights from them, and we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-time, could be 3-time Super Bowl champions, having the same issues with their city. It's just the nature of how this goes, because it's cheaper, typically, other than my Chicago Bears example, to move to the suburbs. But the city doesn't want that because they want their hands in the pie too, and making some of that sweet, sweet, sweet NFL money. What do you think?
The part that's absolutely crazy about that to me is you go and you look at the studies and you compare, what cities pay out to keep these teams and provide for these teams. And then you compare that to what these teams approximately bring in for the city itself. The city almost never even gets its get back. Like, they're almost always negative on the investment, which, I mean, I get that's not been my argument this whole time, but just kind of like on a side branch, it's why fight for some, and I get, the whole spirit of Cleveland thing and all that, but why fight for something so hard that in the end is going to cost the city money? And I know we're not, this kind of show, but that money can go to a lot of other places that Cleveland needs.
Now, I don't disagree with you on that take at all. I disagree with you on the embarrassment front. But if we're talking about public resources and what could be a better investment of time, thought processes, legalese, like that was in that letter, whoever had to draft that up, I agree with you 100%. If it is that big of a deal, they should have had the Burke plan of bulldozing that and putting a stadium put in place back when the team was 0-16. Not when, all of a sudden Jimmy has a plan because the city hasn't talked to him about anything other than renovating the dumpster fire of a stadium that's there now with horrible parking, nowhere to put amenities, blah, 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 blah. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I agree with you that it's a waste of city resources. But to call it an embarrassment when every type of franchise, whether it be the Seattle Supersonics, whether it be the Kansas City Chiefs, the Rams, the Chicago Bears, you're talking all different levels of brand name awareness and product on the field, what have you. It's not an embarrassment. It's just, unfortunately, the nature of the political beast that we have to deal with when new stadium and new contracts come up between cities and owners, in my opinion.
See, I can't fully get around that I don't have the exact timeline in front of me, and I didn't research it before this. But when the Rams wanted to move, I vaguely remember, the process going. There was rumors for like a year or two, And then when it came time to officially, like you're either making something happen or you're not, it was like a 2.5 month process of, okay, yeah, we're talking about moving to we've purchased land, it's set in stone, everybody's happy, build the stadium in LA. This feels like it's been a 3-month process to, sissy fight and slap hands back and forth, and we haven't gotten anywhere. That's kind of where my embarrassment is. It feels like two rich dudes throwing their money around.
And that's fair. And I guess maybe that's some of the fun of it, because I'm just entertained either way. But you see it everywhere. The St. Louis thing was a backstab to the city because the owner kept it under wraps until the very last second. I mean, we could go at this for nauseam, right? And you know what the best part about this is? They're going to continue doing it too, because this is what the Browns had to say to that Mayor Bibbs letter. This is a bunch of legalese. Shout out Brad Stainbrook for posting this. It's the response letter, and I'll save you the trouble of reading this whole thing, because it says, "Dear Justin, we'll see you in court. Yours truly, the Cleveland Browns." So basically, the city and the Browns are both prepping to fight each other over this thing, and we're going to see what happens. And of course, us here at the office will be here to cover all of the petty drama between the city of Cleveland and the billionaire tycoon, Jimmy and Dee Haslam. Matt, you got anything else you want to jump in here? I know we could bicker back and forth for days about, is it an embarrassment? Is it not? Is this part of the process? Unfortunately, what have you? Is there anything else you got to say Browns-wise before we take this to final thoughts, hot takes?
I will concede the point that it is mildly entertaining to watch Jimmy Haslam be like, I'm rich, I'm doing what I want, and then watch him just be a petty troll with the Browns social media accounts. Like, it is kind of funny.
It is entertainment, to say the least. You could say it's embarrassing, you could say it's stupid, but when you make billions of dollars, he doesn't care about what two kids over here from Northeast Ohio have to say about him anyway. Random thoughts, hot takes. Matt, what is your random thought or hot take you got for me before we take this show home?
I have two today, actually.
I love
Both
that.
of them
That's
are
so cute.
very random. One of them's, very much I feel like it's a layup. But, a week from today, Bucks by 50.
I was surprised with us being 9.5 point favorites is what it's open. It's dropped to 8.5 now. I don't know what it is at the exact recording of this video. Last time I looked, it was 8.5. I was really surprised by that. I do think the Buckeyes are going to win, not even as a homer, just in general. I think they're the better team out of the two. I think we have been the hottest. I think we have beaten good defenses throughout. This is all spoilers for the Wednesday show. But the spread really surprised me. So I will put that out there as a little teaser of what we'll be talking about on Wednesday. What's your second one, Matt?
Honestly, now that we went down that rabbit hole, I don't remember where I was going with my second one. Oh, I do remember my second one. It's to add on to the doom and gloom factor I've had all episode. I have such a god-awful feeling we're going to mess this draft up.
Oh, no, I feel pretty good about it. I feel good about them doing something like a trade back and ending up just going best player available in the first round and doing the smart thing there, grabbing a running back and continuing to move forward. I don't have a bad gut feeling about what they'll do in the draft. I have a bad gut feeling about what this team will look like with a Kirk Cousins and maybe a Kyle Trask as the quarterback room for 2025. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, if any of that happens. My final thought, my hot take, is the same final thought and hot take I will be having until voting closes. Go out and vote for your NBA All-Stars, because we got Darius Garland on the list. He is the 9th guard for the East. We have, obviously, Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. I almost said Damian Lillard. Anyway, Donovan Mitchell are all on the list. We need to get the Fro on the court in the Bay. So go out there and vote. I've been voting every day. You download the app. They send you a notification when it's time, and you have the ability to vote again. It takes 2 seconds to go out there and support the best team in the NBA. Matt, anything else you want to say to the good people before I wrap this thing up?
Shout out the Commanders. Had a great day sports betting with you guys yesterday. That's all I got.
That's fantastic. Thank you for joining us at the office. Don't forget to hit the subscribe or download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of the show. Check us out on all socials. You can see it above here at The Office CLE on TikTok, Instagram, X, at The Office, a Cleveland sports show on Facebook. You can check us out literally everywhere. Feel free, leave us a voicemail at the 216-260-3433 number. We'll gladly get back to you on another show if you'd like your voice included on whatever take you want us to react to. It's been a pleasure, Matt. I will talk to you again next Monday. And until then, Cleveland, have a great day. Have an even better night, or whenever you're watching. Thank you.